Welcome back to Praveen Online Academy. In the previous class, we seen the topic regarding circulation as part 1. In the part 2, we are going to discuss detail regarding the structure and functions of human heart. The internal structure of the heart as well as the functions of the heart, and what is cardiac cycle and what is systole, diastole, how the sound was produced, that is lub and dub sound were produced by the sound. We are able to discuss in this chapter. Today we are going to discuss the structure of heart, internal structure of the heart. Look guys, it is the internal structure of the heart. In the last class, we seen that in the lab activity, cutting section of the goat mammalian heart. Simply the goat heart and human heart both are similar to each other. So autocopy, it is a internal structure of the heart. What is given? Okay, come to here. The heart is divided into 4 parts by the grooves. Simply the heart is divided into 4 chamber-like structures, that is known as 4 room-like structures. Simply heart is divided into 4 room-like structures that we call as the 4 chambers. Heart is divided into 4 room-like structures that we call as the chambers. Heart is divided into 4 room-like structures. These we call as the chambers. Here the 2 upper parts is called atria or auricles, and the lower ones called as the ventricles. Among the 4 chambers, the two upper one chambers known as auricles. Auricles are arteries. And the lower 2 chambers we call as the ventricles. Lower 2 chambers, this and this we call as a ventricle, and the upper chamber we call as the auricles or articles. Upper side. Then the blood vessels found in the walls of the heart, coronary vessels which supply blood to the muscles of the heart. Above the surface area of the heart, there were blood vessels. The blood vessels were supplied by the coronary heart, that is coronary muscles. Next, what is given? The walls of the ventricles are little thicker than the atrial walls. Simply the walls of the ventricles, I said the top or bottom we call as a ventricle. These walls of the ventricle are thicker as we compared to the artericles. Look here, at upper side the artericles walls are very thinner compared to the ventricle, but the walls of the ventricle were much thicker compared to the auricles. And next, coming here, these are known as here. It is known as right atrium. It is known as right atria, and it is left atria. You may think it is coming from looking from the left side. Don't think like it is a frontal portion, means front portion. From like this position, we place the heart in the frontal position. So it is right atria and left atria. Here it is right ventricle and here it is left ventricle. This region we call as the left ventricle, right atria, left atria. Here these were the 4 chambers, 4 room-like structures. Heart was divided in our human body. Next, what is given? The veils of the arteries are thicker. Simply come here, look here. The arterial veils are thinner and the ventricle veils the walls are thicker. That's it. In our observation, we found that heart has 4 chambers on it. On the left side, 2 chambers are present. On the one is an anterior and the other is the posterior. On the right side, also 2 chambers present, one upper anterior and the lower posterior. What is saying means, simply it is divided into 4 chambers. These were upper chambers and these were the lower chambers. It is classified into 4 chambers. Anterior region, posterior region, upper side and downward side. The left atrium and ventricle are smaller when compared to that of atrium and ventricle. Listen carefully what is saying. The left atrium and ventricle are smaller compared to the right atrium and right ventricle. Left atrium and left ventricle. This left atrium and this left ventricle, these are smaller in size compared to the right atrium and right ventricle. Simply he is saying that the left atrium and left ventricle are smaller in size. The valves, the chambers are smaller in size compared to the right atrium and right ventricle. Clear? Next, what is given? Observe the presence of the blood vessels attached to the heart. So we are able to observe the blood vessels. Okay, before that, we can see this topic. After seeing this structure and functions of heart, we can answer these questions. Clear? What the questions again? How many blood vessels are attached to the heart? And are all the blood vessels are rigid? How many of them are rigid? Do you think the stiffness, rigidity of blood vessels is something to do with the circulation? So after completion of this structure and functions of the circulatory system of human heart, we can answer these questions. Clear? Next, coming to listen carefully. Those who are having doubts regarding the particular topic, particular sentence, please give your answers in the form of comment. Please comment me in the form of comment box. Definitely, I'm going to give back answers. Next, what is given? Arteries are the blood vessels which originate from the heart and supply blood to the various organs in the body. Simply, these are the arteries. These will supply the blood to the various parts of the body. From the heart, it is able to transporting the blood to the entire body parts. Clear? Next, what again? They have thick walls, and the largest artery is the aorta. These walls are very thick in nature. These walls are very thick in nature. What again? The walls are very thick, and the largest artery is the aorta. It is the largest artery. It will supply the oxygenated blood from the heart to the body parts. It will supply the oxygenated blood from the heart to the body parts. It is the largest vessel, as well as it is the thickest in nature. Next, what is the relatively smaller one is the pulmonary artery, which carries blood from the heart to the lungs. And the pulmonary artery, coming to pulmonary artery, these are the pulmonary artery. The functions of the pulmonary artery carries the blood, what is given? The function of pulmonary artery, which carries the blood from the heart to the lungs, which carries blood from the heart to the lungs, which will transport the blood from heart to the lungs. Means simply, it will transport the deoxygenated blood from heart to the lungs. From the lungs, the deoxygenated blood gets oxygenated and enters into the right artery and right ventricle through the pulmonary veins. Simply, whatever the veins which is in color of red, that will carry the oxygenated blood, and which is in the color of green, that is bluish color, not green, it is bluish color, which will carries the deoxygenated blood. Red color indicates the oxygenated blood transportation, and green, that is blue color, indicates the deoxygenated blood transportation. Next, veins are the blood vessels which brings the blood from all the body parts. And coming to the veins were classified into two categories, that is superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. Superior means at upper side of the artery we call as a superior, at higher region, and lower we call as a inferior. Superior vena cava and inferior vena cava, these will carry the deoxygenated blood from the body parts and reaches to the heart. How it will carry this? The function of the superior vena cava. Look here, the function of the superior vena cava. It will collect the deoxygenated blood. It will collect the deoxygenated blood from the head, neck, and chest region and arms at the upper region of our body. These will collect the deoxygenated blood from head, neck, and chest region and at your upper arms. Then coming to the inferior vena cava, these will collect the blood from the abdomen and abdomen, legs at the lower part of your body. Simply, these will collect the deoxygenated blood from the lower body parts and enter into the right atria. the deoxygenated blood will enter into the right atria through the inferior vena cava, which is coming from the bottom of your body before the thorax, that is thorax and abdomen region, and it will carry the deoxygenated blood from the upper region of your body, that is head and neck and chest region. Simply this inferior vena cava, the function, listen, you have to remember carefully. Inferior vena cava and superior vena cava, inferior vena cava, the function is able to collect the deoxygenated blood from body parts and enters to the heart, that is right atrium and right ventricle. Clear? Look what you given sentence. The veins that which are called the blood vessels which bring the blood to the all the body parts of the heart. Simply these will collect the blood from the all the body parts to the heart. Then what happens? Veins have relatively thinner walls. The veins which is the anterior end is the right side of the heart is superior vena cava. And these veins are having thinner walls. The walls are very thinner, not thicker as compared to the arteries. Here these are very thinner in nature. These will collect the deoxygenated blood. At upper side we call as the superior, at downward side we call as the inferior, that is given in the sentence. That is superior means right side of the heart. Right side of the heart, this reason we call as superior, and down bottom we call as inferior. What is given? Precaval vein which collect the blood from the anterior part, that is head, neck of the body. Simply it will collect the blood from the head and neck, as well as the chest region also. Next, the vein which belong to the blood from the posterior parts of the body, that is hands, legs, etc., that is inferior vena cava, that is we call as postal vena cava. I said you that these are postal vena cava, it will collect the blood from the hands and remaining body part, that which is your lower body, to the that we call as inferior vena cava. Next, what is given? Two atria and the two ventricles are separated from each other by the muscular partitions called septa. What is given? Listen once again. The two atria and the two ventricles are separated from each other by muscular partitions called septa. The two arteries and two ventricles, these were separated by the walls called as a septa. These we call as a septa. These were separated. Clear? The openings between the atria and ventricles are guarded by the veils. Okay, look here, this is also important thing. The openings between the atria and ventricles are guarded by the veils. The openings between the atria and ventricle, these are the openings between, means the blood enters from the right atria to the right ventricle. The blood will enters from right atrium to right ventricle. After right ventricle, it is able to travel to the pulmonary artery. The pulmonary artery will transport the deoxygenated blood to the lungs, where the deoxygenated blood will get filtered. After filtering, the deoxygenated blood will enters into the heart through the pulmonary veins, veins from the right side and left side. After entering, it enters into the left atria and travels to the left ventricle. Then it is travel into the aorta. From aorta, it will transport the blood to all our body parts. Okay, we will discuss one step by step. Next, these are known as veils, and these two openings are known as what even? The two atria and two ventricles are separated from each other by muscular portion called septa. These we see in the septa, okay? Muscular portions. Then what is given? The openings between atria and ventricle guarded by the veils. This is also important thing. These are the openings of the atria and ventricles are separated by the guards. Simply, it will act as a door-like structures, opening and closing. These we call as the veils. These we call as a septum. Separated chamber region we call as a septum, and opening from right atrium to right ventricle, left atrium to left ventricle, these we call as a veils. These veils are look like a gate-like structures, opening walls and closing walls. Clear? The veil present in the right ventricle septum between the right and right ventricle referred as a tricuspid veil. What is given? Between the veil present between the right auricle and ventricle septum. The veil present between the right auricle and right ventricle we call as a tricuspid veil. Tricuspid veil. These we call as a tricuspid veil. This opening and closing at the right between the right atrium and right ventricle between we call as a tricuspid veil. These are the major important. The function of tricuspid veil is prevent the backward flow of the blood. Listen carefully. Whenever the blood enters into the right atrium, after entering it is entered into the entering the right atrium, then enters the right ventricle with the help of the opening of the tricuspid valve. After opening, and it will close. These valves are closed that prevent the backward flow of blood into the right atrium. Simply, these valves act as a door valves, opening gate valves, prevent the backward flow of the blood. Clear? At right side, between right atrium and right ventricle we call as a bicuspid valve. Clear? This we call as a very given. Okay, at right side we call as a tricuspid. Okay, what is given? This we call as a tricuspid valve. Right between the right atrium and right ventricle we call as a tricuspid valve. Next, where the guards opening from this is left atria and left ventricle. The opening valves between the left atrium and left ventricle. The opening valves between the left atrium and left ventricle. These valves we call as the mitral or bicuspid. Simply at right side we call as a tricuspid. At left side we call as a bicuspid. Right side we are calling as the tricuspid valve and left side we call as a bicuspid valve. Simply by tricuspid valve we are able to calling opening between the right atrium and right ventricle. Right side, tricuspid. Left side, bicuspid. Simple. Clear? Next, what is given? He given that only. The valves present on the right auricle is tricuspid. The valves present on the left auricular, left ventricle septum. Left auricular and left ventricle septum we call as a mitral or bicuspid valve. Clear, everyone? If you are having any doubts regarding each and every topic, please post your doubts in the form of comment box. Definitely I am going to give your answers back in the form of comment box. Clear? Left atrium, left ventricle referred as a bicuspid valve or mitral valve. This is known as between left and left we call as a mitral valve or bicuspid valve. At right side we call as a tricuspid valve. Next, coming to here, what is given? The valves present the region of pulmonary artery, pulmonary aorta called pulmonary valves. Okay, the major blood vessels originate from the left ventricle and systematic aorta valves. Okay, look here. What is given? The valves present on the right atrioventricular septum between the right atrium and right ventricle is referred as the tricuspid valve. The valve present on the left atrial, left ventricle septum we refer as the bicuspid valve. A major blood vessels that originate from the right ventricle is pulmonary aorta. This is also important thing. Look here. What is given? The major valves present in the region of the pulmonary. The major blood vessels originate from the right ventricle. Right ventricle is pulmonary valves. From the right ventricles, it is right arteries and it's the right ventricles. This is known as pulmonary ventricle, pulmonary veins. Next, a major blood vessels originate from the left ventricle is systematic aorta. The valves are present in the region of the systematic artery is known as systematic valves. Next, coming to here. In the right atrium, we can observe the openings of superior and inferior vena cava. We can observe the superior and inferior vena cava. Look here, I will show with the diagrams. What is given? The right atrium. The right atrium we can observe from the openings of superior and inferior vena cava in the left. Okay, we can We can observe the openings of pulmonary veins through veins that bring blood from the lungs. Okay. It is inferior vena cava and superior vena cava. Now we give the functions of the vena cava. What is the functions of the veins? Simply, what are the functions of veins? Blood is classified into arteries. Blood vessels are classified into two categories, that is arteries and veins. Veins will transport the deoxygenated blood, and arteries will transport the oxygenated blood. So simply, veins will carry the deoxygenated blood from the body parts to the heart. From the heart to it will transport the deoxygenated blood from heart to the lungs. After lungs, the deoxygenated blood will be filtered. After filtering, the oxygenated blood will again enter into the heart. At the left side, left region. After that, from it is able to enter into the pulmonary, left atrial and left ventricle. Through that is able to travel aorta. And that aorta will transfer the oxygenated blood to all our body parts through the blood vessels. Again, the blood vessels are able to divide into small, finite tube-like structures we call as the blood capillaries. Okay, we'll discuss with the help of the diagram. I will explain the difference between blood capillaries, blood veins, as well as blood capillaries, blood veins with the help of the diagram. Next, now we are coming to the function of the inferior vena cava. The function of inferior vena cava is able to collecting the blood, deoxygenated blood from the body parts, from the organs to the heart. It is also able to collecting the deoxygenated blood from the body parts, from the top region, that is head and neck. Next, what is given? And after collecting, what happens? It supplies oxygenated blood to the body parts. Okay. In the left atrium, we can observe the opening pulmonary veins that brings blood from the lungs. That bring the blood from lungs. Okay, look here. Then after what happened? After entering in the after entering the deoxygenated blood into the heart, that is right atrium. The right atrium blood, whatever blood are present in the right atrium, the blood will enter through the right atrium through the inferior vena cava and superior vena cava. After that, the blood is able to enter into the right ventricle through the openings, veils we call as a tricuspid veil. Then after that, it is able to entering into the pulmonary artery. After that, the blood is able into the pulmonary artery. This pulmonary arteries will transport the deoxygenated blood to the lungs. Simply, the deoxygenated blood entering into the arteries, into the heart through the right arteries, right auricles, and enter the left ventricle and right ventricle through the bicuspid veil. And it is from the right ventricle, it is able to enter to the pulmonary arteries. From pulmonary arteries, it is able to travel the deoxygenated blood to the lungs. And during the traveling, this tricuspid veil will prevent the entry of the blood backward to the right atrium. The function of the bicuspid veil, this tricuspid is prevent the entry of the backward flow of the blood. Simply, clear? Then after entering into the pulmonary arteries, the deoxygenated blood gets oxygenated, and carbon dioxide exchange will take place from the lungs through the diffusion. The oxygen will enter into the lungs, and as well as oxygen is entered into a valve-like structure that is known as alveoli. Through the alveoli, the diffusion will take place. The deoxygenated blood will enter into the alveoli. From the alveoli, the oxygen blood will enter into the blood capillaries, and carbon dioxide exchange will also take place. After that one, the oxygenated blood enters into the heart through the pulmonary veins from the left and the right arteria. Through the pulmonary veins, from this the blood get oxygenated and enters to the left atrium through this pulmonary veins. After that, this oxygenated blood will enter into the left ventricle, which is guarded by the bicuspid veil. It is open. When the bicuspid veil opens, the blood enters into the left ventricle. After that, through the contraction and the relaxation, blood vessels and circulation. Blood vessels and circulation. Blood vessels and circulation. Blood vessels are classified into two categories, that is arteries and veins. Arteries and veins. Arteries will will carry the oxygenated blood from the body, from the heart to the body parts, entire body parts, whereas veins will carry out deoxygenated blood from the body parts to the heart. And these arteries and veins further subdivided into fine like structures known as blood capillaries. These blood capillaries were divided into fine thread-like, root-like structures divided. These are very small. The size of the blood capillaries were almost equal to the size of our hair, size of the air particle. That much thickness, that much thinness it will be able to absorb. Simply, these are well developed, subdivided into very thinner, which is same looking as the size of our hair. Clear? Coming to the blood vessels, and arteries are having thick vessels and veins are having thinner blood vessels. These are thinner in nature. These are thicker. The vessels are thicker. These are thinner in nature. Next, coming to in the year 16th century, they were real known to how the blood vessels were functioned. The scientist, Italian doctor, that is Girolamo Fabrici, he found that how the blood vessels were able to flow in, how the blood vessels are able to flow in, connected to all our body parts, as well as how the blood is able to flow in. So he found that the blood is able to flow in a single direction, in a unidirection. He found that later on, he found that the blood is able to flowing in a single unidirection. He found and given that. Look here. These are the arteries. These are the veins. These are the veins which will connect it to all our body parts to the veins, and the function of the veins is to collect the deoxygenated blood from the body parts to the heart. From the body parts and collected and enters to the heart. The function of is collect the deoxygenated blood and tries to enter into heart. So simply during collection, the blood, he observed that blood is able to flow in a single direction, that is unidirection, and between he found that there were presence of veins. The function of the vein is, it will prevent the backward flow of the blood. Simply he observed that there were presence of veins between the veins. These veins will prevent the entry of the backward blood flow. Whenever the blood enters here, these veins stop, act as a gate wall, and it will not allow the blood flow again backward direction. From these, the blood is able to carry easily to the heart. Clear? Then he said that due to gravity, when a person moves his legs or just tightens his leg muscles, those muscles squeeze the veins and the force blood in his veins to move upward against the pull of gravity. So whenever a person involves in movement, when they are able to move, walking, running, the blood vessels are able to faster to upward direction. When he is doing somewhat activity with legs, when he is running, walking, everything, so the movement activity will be more compared to when a person sits silently in normal rest position. Compared to the normal rest position, the blood movement will be more during the activity, physical activity like running, walking, movement of your body parts. Then only at that time the movement of blood are higher. Here, then what he observed? So because it's only one way to, when he found that there is only one way to go, the veils won't allow that. Everyone thought that blood leaving the left ventricle always move away from the heart, which is a fabric paid no attention. He missed the importance of his own discovery, but when William Harvey in the year 1578 to 67, who after became the doctor, went to Italy for the education and study. Simply, he won't, from this observation, he gave that the veils are having a unidirection. The blood is able to circulate very fastly. during the physical activities compared to the normalized position. He said like that, and he also found that there are small capillaries subdivided into smaller capillaries, but it didn't give the further detailed information that for higher studies he went for the family side. Next, one more scientist came. The scientist is William Harvey. So what he done? William Harvey deserted the hearts of the dead people. Look here, dead people. So he observed the heart and veins of the dead persons. Simply Harvey deserted the heart of the dead people and studied the veins between each atrium and ventricle. So he observed the arteries, veins and heart of the dead person, and he examined detailedly what is the structure, how it is able to looking. Next, what he given? He noticed that they were one-way valves. So he also found that there is only one-way valves. One-way valves. So the blood is able to flow, travel, transport in a single direction. One way. Clear? Next, what he given? One-way atrium. They allowed the blood to flow from the atrium to the ventricle without any hindrance. So he said that they allow the blood to flow from the atrium to the ventricle without any hindrance. When the heart are contracted, however, no blood in the ventricle couldn't flow back into the atrium. Instead, all the blood vessels were forced out into the arteries. During the contraction and relaxation, the movement of the blood will take place. Next, what is given? Harvey began thinking about the Wales. His teacher Fabrici had discovered the leg veins. They were one way. They forced to blood move into the heart. He found double circulation. So whenever the deoxygenated blood enters into the arteries, right ventricles, again it is travel to the veins. Again it will travel to the lungs through the pulmonary veins. From the lungs, the blood is get filtered. Again from the lungs, the blood is able to entering into the heart. So from this time, the blood is entering into the heart before the completion of full circulation. So for that reason, we are calling as a double circulation. Double circulation is nothing but the blood enters into the heart twice in a one complete circulation. That is known as double circulation. Clear? Circulation. From the pulmonary circulation, what is given? Look at this image. So pulmonary circulation and double systematic circulation. What you got? If one started from the right ventricle, left away from the arteries to the lungs. Arteries to the lungs. From here, the blood enters here and blood is able to travel to the lungs. And return away from the veins, left artery. These are known as pulmonary circulation. The blood is able to moving from the right atrium, right ventricle and enters to the pulmonary vein. That is known as the pulmonary circulation. And from there into the left ventricle, from the left ventricle, it left away from the arteries, the rest of the body and return into greater circulation by the way of the veins to the right atrium, from there into the right ventricle, right atrium to the right ventricle, right atrium to right ventricle. It is known as systematic circulation. The blood enters from right atrium to right ventricle, that is systematic circulation. So next, one more scientist that Marcello Malpighi. The vessels are connected with the blood capillaries. The blood vessels, arteries and veins are connected with the blood capillaries. He observed in the bat. So the wing of the bat, he found the small, minute thread-like structures, thread root-like structures, and he found and given that these are the blood capillaries, which are very small, minute. Again, these blood capillaries are connected to the heart, arteries and veins. And for one circulation per minute, the blood is able to pump. The blood is able to pump 3 times weight of your body. For example, I am 70 kgs weight. Per minute, 70 into 3. That means 210 liters of blood is able to pump all over my body parts. Simply, the blood is able to pump into 3 times of your body weight per minute. Per minute the blood is able to pump into 3 times of your body weight. That is given. So find the, from that he given that blood is able to classify into blood capillaries, and he given one experiment, that is Airwheel's demonstration to find out the blood vessels and blood capillaries. So we have to tie the with rubber stretching rubber band or with a thread to above the elbow. After that you have to hold a piece of wooden block or piece of rod with the help of that rod. After tying tightly with your elbow, then try to hold a stick and with try to bring highly contracted with your fist. Then you are able to form these are the blood capillaries. What is given? First, tie the tonic just above the elbow of the person as shown in the figure. First, you have to tie the thread. Then what you can ask him or her to hold the fish with a piece of the cloth or rolled in the hand. After that, you have to try to hold the fish tightly with the object placing. That object you have to try to take the whatever the rod that you are having. Then what is given? Find out the undivided blood vessels where we have worked from the next few minutes. After few minutes, you will be able to see clearly that there are blood vessels which we are able to observe, which we are able to see clearly from our naked eyes, with our naked eyes. Now apply the pressure from the elbow towards the palm slowly. Observe the changes in the blood vessels. Take help of the figure. Okay. If you are able to pushing front and backward direction, you are able to see the blood vessels. These blood vessels are in unidirectional. These blood vessels are in unidirectional, single directional, and the veins, the veins are situated above the hand. The veins are situated above the hand, that which is deoxygenated blood. Those are able to visible at the above hand, that which is able to see clear as a light is green like structure. These are the veins which carries a deoxygenated blood from the body parts to the heart, and the oxygenated blood, that is arteries, will situated inside, deeply situated inside the body. Clear? Next, these are the transverse section. TS means transverse section. Transverse section of the arteries and veins. It is subclassified into, these are the arteries and veins. Look at this image here also. What is given? Elastic fibrous cord. The white area is known as elastic fibrous cord, and inner one, this we call as a lumen. These were lumen, and red muscular layer. Next, below this one, this is endothelium. These are the structures of, these are the parts of the arteries and veins. Next, given the question, blood capillaries are the microscopic made up of vessels, single layer. They allow diffusion various substances, that is glucose, that is WBC, can squeeze out of the capillary wall, establish continuity between the arteries and veins. These blood capillaries are very small. The size, it is able to approximately the size of your hair, and these are made up of single cell, easily able to diffuse the nutrients out of the cell and into the cell. Simply the nutrients are able to diffuse easily from the capillaries into the cells, when the deoxygenated blood and the waste material is able to diffuse easily into the capillaries. And these capillaries are attached to the veins, arteries and veins. And then give me answer in the table. Again the table. Look at the table. What is given? Given some questions, that is structure, functions. Structure and function of the blood vessels and artery and vein. First what again? Thickness of the walls. So the thickness of the walls is, the arteries walls are very thick, clear, and veins are thin. Next, veils are present or absent. The veils were present in, veils only, present, veins only. Here absent, no veils. Clear? Veils are thicker, thinner, and the veils are present in the only vein, because to prevent the backward flow. Next, capacity to retain the shape when the blood vessels is absent. Even the blood vessels are absent, the capacity to retain this shape, original shape, it can't, it cannot. It is able to retain, but it is unable to retain. That is veins. Next, direction of the blood flow. So heart to the organs, that is artery. Heart to the organs. Okay, artery means heart to the organs. Next means from the body to the organ, that is deoxygenated. Body to organs, deoxygenated. This is oxygenated. Next, pressure in the blood vessels. Which is low, which is higher? Higher in arteries. Because the blood is able to coming from the heart. Means during the contraction and relaxation, the blood pumps. During the pressure only, the blood is able to traveling all over body parts. Clear? So the pressure is high at arteries and the pressure is low at veins. Next, what you get? Type of the blood transported. So arteries will transport the oxygenated, and veins will be transported deoxygenated. Clear? I am repeating once again. Try to write down your answers. Thickness of the veins. These are thick. Arteries are thick and veins are thin. And veins are present or absent. The veins are present in the veins only. Present, absent. And direction flow. Heart to the organ means artery. Artery will transfer the blood from the heart to the body parts, that is organs. Heart to the organs, and here organs to heart, opposite direction. Pressure, the pressure is higher, here lower, and here is oxygenated, that is arteries will be oxygenated, this veins will be deoxygenated. Here veins will be deoxygenated blood.